Coming up today on the GCN Racing News Show, Team Sky becomes Team Ineos, who experience a week of highs and lows. We wrap up the Tour de Romandie in Yorkshire, as well as the Eschborn Frankfurt, Vuelta Asturias and Gracia Orlova. First up though, what can you say about Primoz Roglic? He really is just an incredible athlete. Last week he won 3 stages and the overall at the Tour de Romandie. Having finished runner-up to Jan Tratnik in the prologue, he won a sprint from a reduced group on stage 2, rode everybody off his wheel in the final few hundred metres on the mountaintop finish of stage 4, and then showed everybody how it was done in the final time trial, including new world hour record holder Victor Campenaerts. His record in week-long stage races over the last 12 months really is something else. Basque Country, first. Romandie, first. Slovenia, first. Britain, third. UAE Tour, first. Tirreno, first. And then, of course, another win in Romandie this year. That is 7 top-level stage races in a year, of which he's won 6 and finished third in the other. And what will make his rivals even more scared is the fact that he's still improving. Now, we all know his backstory as a ski jumper, which meant he only started cycling seriously in 2013 at the age of 23, a point at which most other riders have already been competing for around about 10 years. And given that fact, what I find as impressive as his immense power on the bike are his handling skills. Admittedly, given his previous occupation, he's probably not somebody that has a particularly fearful character, but his all-round ability is almost unrivaled in the modern peloton. He's one of the best climbers in the world, one of the best time trialists, one of the best descenders, and clearly able to handle himself in a sprint too. There really isn't a chink in his armour, and given that his team for the Giro d'Italia is also looking solid as a rock, is he the favourite to win the race? Well, I would personally say yes, he is, which is why, a little bit of a teaser for you here, I've picked him as my prediction for the Giro d'Italia win this year in our upcoming Giro d'Italia preview show. I'd like to know your thoughts on this though. Does he go into the race as race favourite ahead of previous winners Nibali and Tom Dumoulin? Let us know in the poll that should be on the screen right now. May the 1st was the day that Team Sky officially became Team Ineos. It was the day before the Tour de Yorkshire, and along with all the new colours, new kit and new livery, there was also a brand new bike from Pinarello, the Dogma F12. If you haven't already seen Ollie's first look on that, then I suggest you check it out. I'll link to that at the end of this video. Now, if you look at most media reports from last week, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the team was greeted with a whole army of protesters. But from what I heard from people who were actually there, the anti-fracking and anti-Ineos sentiment was really quite a small minority. Most cycling fans there happy to see the likes of Chris Froome racing for a British team on home roads. And after a little bit of a false start, it turned out to be a brilliant few days for them. On stage 1, together with Dimension Data, they had attempted to control the race for a sprint, only to be thwarted by the breakaway. Jesper Asserman of Roompot Charles making a good case for flags being a recipe for success. He became the second rider in a month to cross the line first after collecting a spectator's flag in the finishing straight. In all seriousness though, I agree with Sam Bewley, who responded to our post on Twitter. He said that absolutely flags should be banned in the finishing straight. It's only a matter of time before one gets tangled into a rider's front wheel. Anyway, thankfully it didn't affect Asserman, who collected not only the flag but his second career win and the leader's jersey with it. He would conserve that lead on day 2, which did go the way of the sprinters. Rick Zabel was supposed to be there on lead-out duties for Marcel Kittel, but when the German was unable to take the start, Zabel got a free roll from his team. And I'm pretty confident that he's secretly quite pleased that Kittel was absent. That was also his second career pro win. It was on day 3 into Scarborough though that we got the first GC shake-up. A reduced group almost got wiped out by a huge wave coming up to the finish, but in the end it was Alexander Kamp who surfed the wheels best, taking a surprise victory ahead of a hugely disappointed Chris Lawless, who was banging his front wheel up and down as he crossed the finish line. Fair play though to Kamp and his team Rival Readiness though, who controlled the race for much of the finale. And so it all came down to the final day, in which Ineos played a blinder. They controlled the race from start to finish. It was Chris Froome himself who initiated the first big move, attacking up the last climb of the day. Only James Shaw really able to go with him. A slight regrouping over the top allowed Irishman Eddie Dunbar to make a move off the front. And from that point on, the team were in the driving seat. Lawless was able to match Van Avermaet as he attacked up a deceptively tough drag with 5k's to go. And in the end, they were all able to come away happy. Van Avermaet took a much needed stage victory, Lawless the overall classification, and Dunbar the third step of the podium in both the stage and the GC. The team are often criticised for making racing boring, but that, I thought, was brilliant to watch as it unfolded. It was a welcome piece of good news for the team, though, who were dealt a real blow the previous day when Egan Bernal crashed in training and broke his collarbone. He was due, of course, to lead the team at the Giro d'Italia starting this coming Saturday, where he would have started as one of the favourites, but he'll now have to watch it from home. It's a massive blow for the race as a whole, in fact. I think we're all looking forward to seeing him light things up in the mountains. Also missing out on the Giro through injury is Domestique Deluxe Jack Haig, who, according to his team, Mitchelton Scott, has been suffering from a knee injury. He is back on his bike though, so expect to see him at the Tour de France this July. One final piece of Ineos news now, which has absolutely nothing to do with cycling. They today announced the 1:59 challenge. So this is a project with Eliud Kipchoge to break the mythical 2-hour marathon barrier. Having just run the second fastest time ever to win the London Marathon, it certainly seems like the time is right for him. And wouldn't that be something if he pulled it off? The women's as the Tour de Yorkshire was this year run over 2 stages, exactly the same as the men tackled on days 2 and 3. And as such, they were greeted with the same foul weather, which made things particularly atrocious on the second and final stage. The first stage had finished in a bunch sprint, and there is definitely a new kid on the block when it comes to women's sprinting. 20-year-old Lorena Wiebes only turned pro last year, but Friday marked her 3rd win of a season in which she's barely finished outside the top 10. Finishing second to Kirsten Wild at Gent-Wevelgem is no mean feat. Wiebes is a former Dutch and European junior road champion and looks set to be a part of the continued Dutch dominance in women's cycling for years to come. Day 2, though, was where the race exploded, and it was another Dutch woman at the other end of her career that was lighting the fuse. The boss, the cannibal, Marianne Vos. She'd had to take matters into her own hands after Mavi Garcia of Movistar had set off solo, Vos attacking what was already a small group with only Soraya Paladin able to stay with her. Those 3 would arrive in Scarborough together, but the win was only really ever going to go one way. Vos continues to cement herself as one of the best cyclists of all time, taking the stage and the overall win. According to Wikipedia, she has now amassed just over 400 career wins on the road, track, cyclocross and mountain biking, and she's still only 31. Meanwhile, at the Eschborn Frankfurt, we had a new winner for the first time in 5 years. Alexander Kristoff has won the previous 4 editions of the race, but this time he was pipped to the post. And rather aptly, it was by current German road race champion Pascal Ackermann of Bora Hansgrohe. A welcome confidence boost for him as he heads towards his first career Grand Tour. Ackermann was given a nod to be the team sprinter there at the Giro this year, much to the disappointment, in fact, of Sam Bennett, who won 3 stages there last year and who's already won 6 races in 2019. Now, down at the Vuelta Asturias, there were a couple of riders quietly honing their form for the Giro. Mikel Landa and Richard Carapaz of Movistar gave everybody a demonstration in climbing on the second day, riding away from the whole field and coming into the finish line almost 2 minutes clear of everybody else. Now, admittedly, it wasn't the strongest field of climbers ever assembled, but still, I think that sent out quite the message. We haven't really been talking about Mikel Landa too much ahead of the Giro d'Italia, but if he is at 100% there, he's going to be causing some problems to everybody else there in the mountains. The overall in Asturias went to Carapaz after Landa didn't start the final day, reportedly suffering from a painful toenail. We shall finish this week with the Gracia Avila, where Team Virtue Cycling had quite the week. They won every single stage, 3 of those 6 stages coming from Marta Bastianelli. She rode away from everybody else in the final day to win the stage by close to 4.5 minutes and of course take the overall win too. Bastianelli is a former world champion and she's been having nothing short of a spectacular season so far. Take a look at her pro cycling stats page. She's not finished outside the top 10 once so far this year. Right, there will only really be one race on our minds next week, and that is the Giro d'Italia. I'm flying over to Bologna tomorrow to cover the first part of the race. We shall have daily highlights and analysis to most of the world over on our Facebook page, and our big preview with everything that you need to know about the race is out on the channel this coming Wednesday. Can you guess who picked Egan Bernal? We've also got some special Giro merchandise now available over at the GCN store, a link to which you should be able to see on the screen shortly. Right, it'll be Marty back with you this time next week for the GCN Racing News Show, but in the meantime, you can click just down here for Ollie's first look at the Pinarello Dogma F12.